Welcome! This weekend, Azur Lane celebrated its 8th anniversary in Japan. Yostar rented a venue in Akihabara for a 2-day expo, and I spent the weekend covering the whole event, which ended up being nearly 19 hours of live streaming. Now, it's all archived on my channel, with timestamps to boot, but in case you don't have the attention span to go through all of that, I'm putting together this little quick video that covers everything you need to know from the 8th anniversary live stream. So let's take it from the top. The event was held at a 3-story venue in the Chiyoda ward of Tokyo, Japan, off the Akihabara train station. The staged event required obtaining tickets in advance, available only on the YoStation app, tied to your Yostar ID. So the event started with a kickoff from the Yostar marketing team. If you've seen any of the official event announcement streams, you'll see a lot of familiar faces here. They start off by going over the general event schedule and the whole map. All 3 stories, which consist of 10 different locations, 1 for each faction. More of the details are shown later though. They also bring out 5 different cosplayers for Raffaello, Lion, Fritz Rumi, Royal Fortune, and Hatsuki. After the opening ceremony, we are transported down to the floor of the event, where the hosts take us to the Tempesta section. There is a giant pop-up pirate game, and then we move on to the next event, which is a trivia quiz. 7 attendees are selected at random, and each are given 1 minute to answer up to 12 questions of varying difficulty. The topics had a wide range of different Azur Lane questions. Ultimately, the combined score of the number of questions these 7 participants got correct determined how much everybody gets rewards in the game. No red books. RIP. Then we're transported back down to the floor for the Northern Parliament section, which ended up being just a private ASMR chair behind a curtain. Next up, we had a 1-hour infomercial. Azur Lane collaborated with a rice grower in Japan, and this gave a lot of the vibes similar to the indigo farmer that we had a couple of years ago, for those of you who remember. As silly as this sounds, honestly, there was a lot of interesting info in here. Personally, at this point of the stream, it was kind of refreshing, and we got a lot of good memes out of it. My favorite is that they played ASMR to the rice seedlings to give it motivation to grow good. However, what you probably care about is they announced that scheduled to release this winter sometime, rice farmer skins for Kumano, Owari, and Nachi. After this, the cosplayers walked us through the figurine exhibit, which included a lot of cool pieces, including a 1-to-1 Ainami figurine. Honestly, this felt kind of like an art museum, just cultured. Then we jumped into a live session with Kuchan, a Paimon Mercuria VTuber. She didn't say Sugi even once, but we did raise TB together through crowdsourcing. Maybe not the best idea. And finally, after 7 hours of streaming, we got to the in-game news portion of the segment. They kicked this off with a PV, which I assume will be the obtain animation for the newest UR, and thus started talking about the newest Japanese UR event. Interestingly enough to note, in a departure from the norm, it will be on September 12th, which is a Friday, not the usual Thursday maintenance schedule we're accustomed to. So the event is actually 1 less day because the event still ends on a Thursday. Also, funnily enough, they actually leaked the chibis of all of the ships before they announced any of them. It didn't give out the names, class, or rarities, but we were going crazy on stream trying to speculate who these chibis were. Ultimately, this ended up being a double UR event. The gacha UR with the rate up percentage is going to be IJN Hakuho. This UR carrier is a paper ship based on Project G14, so somewhere in between Taiho and Hakuryu. Our other UR will be obtainable by collecting enough UR shop points via playing the event. And the memes have been answered. It's a UR submarine. Well, actually, an aircraft submarine. SSV. I-404 is the first I-400 class of submarines that enters the game. Interesting that they chose this one because it was actually never totally completed because of an allied air attack, and it was ultimately scuttled. Moving on to the SR rarity ships, they announced a new Key class battleship. The Key class obviously being paper ships, 2 only ever received names. This unnamed project in the game will get the name Umi. Our other SR will be a heavy cruiser. IJN Asama Asama will be the Poi 5, aka she'll be available in the point shop and also as a map drop. I got excited in the stream because there was a cruiser that went by the name Asama built in the 1890s for Japan and actually survived through World War II. However, they have announced that this one is actually an Ibiki class, which means she's a paper ship. As for the elites, we have IJN Minase, who is a Sendai class light cruiser. However, she was never laid down and was canceled due to the Washington Naval Treaty. The last elite is a destroyer by the name of Takaze. She's a cute little Tanuki girl, isn't she? This is a Yugumo class destroyer, albeit one of the ones that was canceled. So with all of that, not a single new ship released in this event will have sailed. But y'all won't care about that, so let's move on to skins. Before that, really quickly, they showcased all of the barrages as a sneak peek. Hakio appears to have converging torpedo bombers, as well as some damage over time effects. I-404 has a surfacing torpedo barrage that has some waves. Umi looks like your standard on-fire barrage battleship. Asama's barrage has torpedoes and HE shells. Minase has a torpedo barrage, and Takaze appears to have a firepower-based barrage. Also, we got a sneak peek at the new event shop, which has a brand new SR plane. Not exactly sure which plane this is, we'll find out later this week during the data mine. Alright, after all that, they actually announced all the new skins. It's basically like a shinobi slash ancient Japanese culture theme, tied with a little bit of bondage. Also, kind of on theme, they showcased the new dorm theme, as well as the new gear skins that kind of apply. As far as ship skins, they actually released so many that they announced them in 2 separate waves. Wave 1 will release with the event, and Wave 2 will come a week later. Wave 1 will include Hakio's L2D Plus, which is rentable, I-404's Dynamic, Umi's L2D, which is also rentable, Asama's L2D, Minase's Static, Takaze's Static, Morrison's Dynamic, Sovietskaya's Dual Form skin, which is also rentable. In case you forget what that means, it's an L2D and a Dynamic skin bundled together. And if that isn't enough for you, you can wait for Wave 2, which includes Alsace's L2D, which is rentable, Unzen's L2D, which is rentable, Guam's L2D, which is also rentable, Warspite's Static, Laffy 2's Dynamic, Gascon's Static, Brennus's Static, Talon's Dynamic, and Bolzano's Static. And if you were interested, on stream they went through and showcased a lot of the motion in the L2Ds, in demos. You can see it in full if you head over to my archive. It has a timestamp pinned in the comments. They also announced they'll be rerunning a bunch of old skins in case you missed any of those. However, in my opinion, the most hype part of the stream was the announcement of the 3 new oat skins. To say that I'm excited about this might be an understatement. Is this what I think it is? Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, bro. Amagi CV, Ulrich von Houten, and Black Prince will get O skins. They also announced the next cruise mission pass. This will bring us the new ship Dewey Meta, as well as a paid skin for Kawakaze. We also get a retrofit for IJN destroyer Shiratsui. She's going from a rare to an elite rarity ship. They also announced other in-game news, which included a new purchasable Ninja UI, adding 3D Taiho to private quarters, adding the newest Siren Scavenger to Project Identity, giving memories to Fancy and Musashi, and adding a character story for Watarase. They also announced the future rerun of Unzen's event, as well as the future rerun of Clemenceau's event. They gave us a sneak peek of this new unit that's going to be coming in a special SP event. Stream chat thought it might have been a Tempesta girl. Let me know down in the comments who you think it is. Also, they announced a future collab with Data Live 5. Seems like a good fit. They also showcased footage of the new game mode they've been talking about for over a year. This is that 3D mode that kind of looks like a farm simulator slash Animal Crossing vibe. This is by far the most in-depth glimpse we've got of this, so I'm anticipating that they're pretty close to being done with development here. Kind of looks like a full game within the game. RIP phone storage. They did show us an image of the commander, which is an interesting turn of events. We were represented by this stick figure. That's going to be a meme. But it was also used to showcase that that we would be able to at least minimally customize our commander's look in this game mode. And that wrapped up all of the in-game news. It also largely wrapped up all of day one. They technically showed a new PV, which was really super cool. You definitely should go watch that. And also a little 3D chibi animation of Taiho and some skit. Don't forget, they also announced a new payment method, basically unveiling an alternative to the Google Play Store or Apple Store. You could buy gems directly through Yostar and their payment processor, and then associate it to your account with your Yostar ID. Kind of like an official version of Yo Top Up. Not a bad way to hedge, although it looks like it will only be available in Japan for now. If we ever get it on the global server, it might take a while because of all the differing jurisdictions. But basically, that was the end of day one, and after a little break, we were back at it for day two. It was a really quick opening ceremony, and then we were back on the floor with the host showcasing some of the things you could do at the event. One of which was trying to knock over whiskey bottles with a water gun. This carnival game looked very rigged. Then they showcased server stats, which I thought were very interesting. They show the top 10 skins that were purchased. All the top 3 were floof. They also show the top 10 ships chosen for Valentine's Day. Shinano number 1. Again. They also showcased the top 10 ships that were oathed in the last year. I myself also oathed number 1 and 2. Then they showcased the craziness of whales in Japan on oath rings. Even the creep over time. Depending on the discounts and such, first place here spent somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 on oath rings. Over 8,000 people have finished PR8 already, so why are you slacking? Additionally, over 8,000 people are level 150 commander level or higher. I think there's a lot of correlation between this stat and the last stat. And 4 people have actually eclipsed commander level 180. And then they showed the astronomical numbers of how much we've spent in oil, coins, and dorm food. If that wasn't cool enough, then we went back down to the expo and they showed off their 2 Azur Lane wrapped Ferraris. No, they didn't get to drive them, but they did rev the engines a little bit. Also, back on the floor of the expo, they also were playing a donut game. After that, they held an audience participation event where different commanders called in. If the judges upvoted them, then they would get a prize. The first guy literally won the giant mouse pad on the first time. Then the cosplayers from day 1 came back, but they were 5 brand new girls, this time in bunny outfits. Shinano, Kearsarge, Cleveland, Taiho, and Sirius. Next up, they talk about some of the out-of-game events that are going on. For example, there's a collaboration with Pasella, a local karaoke bar, which will have some special food and special merch. Speaking of merch, plenty of new merch is coming to the Yostar store, and they showcase that. They also have some ASMR on DL site. They announced the 8th anniversary art collection book. They got to sell Atelier stuff. Wait, is that a Azur Lane branded beer? The Opie mousepad this year is going to be Taiho, and I don't even know what you call this. What? Anyway, with all that merch, they actually go over the new figurines that are going to be coming out, and then they showcase them in person. Unlike on day 1, which was more of like a museum of the best ones that they've created, these are actually purchasable and available for orders. They also announced news about the Slow Ahead Season 2 anime, which they announced will be coming in early 2026. Another chapter of Azur Lane Slow Ahead will also be coming to the manga by the end of the month. And then they released the brand new 8th anniversary theme song. It was actually a bop. It was sung by Ari Suzuki and produced by 40MP. Sadly, I can't play that for you here, but you can totally go to the archive and also listen to it. And after that, they went to the grand finale, basically concluding the full stream and the full expo event. Roll credits. Thank you guys for watching. There was a ton of content to cover this weekend. Hopefully this kind of wraps it up for you in a nice, succinct way. Congratulations, Commanders, on another year of Azur Lane. And here's to many more. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time.